What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, what I wanted to get into was Davante Adams is expected to play on Sunday. Jeff Ulbrich gives some injury updates, and it is a long list on the injury report this week. All right, so let's start with the good news. Davante Adams expected to play on Sunday night for the New York Jets. Things you absolutely love to see. He was seen out on the practice field as well. The first look of him coming out there and rocking the number 17. Malachi Corley now rocks number 14. I'm sorry if you got a Malachi Corley jersey in the number 17. You watched him play 2 snaps and then change his number, unfortunately. It is what it is, but excited to see Davante Adams out there with Aaron Rodgers. I do think that their connection comes early and often. I was on with Richie on the Jets Roundtable on the AFC East channel earlier today, and we discussed it. And he asked me, straight up, he was like, do you think this is going to take Davante Adams a few weeks to get up to gear, or do you think he comes in? And I compared it to riding a bicycle, man. Sometimes you just don't forget. And the Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams one, that connection is one that they have, and I don't think they are going to forget how to do that. We did see Jeff Ulbrich comment on what Davante Adams can do for this team, and it's good things.
Yeah, it's a really cool problem to have, and it's going to give us an opportunity to have more flexibility with where we move these guys around. And sometimes it'll be based upon the route concept, sometimes the matchups, but it gives us a lot of freedom to play around with where these guys line and just make sure we're just moving the target, as often as we can.
How much have you faced them in your career when they were in Green Bay?
Too many times. Yeah, I mean, we faced them last year in Vegas, and Davante at least, and
but I mean the two of them together.
Yeah, again, too many times. That COVID year was, he questioned my love for football that day. They did an amazing job. Their connection and their chemistry between the two of those guys is so unique. They spent so much time together for one, but for two, they're both like high football IQ guys that really can take their connection to another space.
I'm really excited to see, again, how they line up this offense. They could have Davante Adams in the slot. They could have Garrett Wilson in the slot. They could have it both out wide and Allen Lazard in the slot. You could line up Breece Hall as a wide receiver like what they were doing this past week against the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of exciting things for Todd Downing to do, who was coming off a strong first performance. I thought Downing did a good job in his first game as the play caller for the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills. But I love the comments from Ulbrich because he's right. Like, this allows you to get more creative on offense. And unfortunately, Mike Williams hasn't had that connection really with Aaron Rodgers early on this year. The mistake that we've talked about at length at the end of the game against Buffalo, he was the guy he was targeting on the interception and to end the game against Minnesota. Just really tough go of it, and I think they are going to feel a lot more comfortable with Davante, and it's going to be really tough. The Steelers have a great defense, and they get after the quarterback, and TJ Watt scares the absolute life out of me going up against this offensive line right now, but it's going to be really hard for the Steelers to keep up with both Adams and Garrett Wilson. Jeff Ulbrich also commented on his high hopes for Garrett Wilson and even compared him to an end one basketball player.
Potentially dominant and challenging in the slot when he lines up inside like that.
Well, his movement is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make sense. The way that he can change direction, come out of breaks, the way that he can set you up. He's like an and one basketball player in there. Like, he's virtually an impossible cover, in my opinion, in one-on-one. He's a problem. And now he's starting to get way more detail into everything that he's doing, learning the nuance of this game, and then his relationship with Aaron is going to a deeper level, just more time on task together. So it's really cool to see him growing and evolving as a football player. And as long as we see that, we're just going to see this guy just blossom into the superstar we know he can become.
Guys, Garrett Wilson's really good. He had his back-to-back 100-yard games the last 2 weeks. I thought, him and Rodgers are really starting to get on the same page and look really good. It was unsustainable for him to have 23 targets in a game like he did against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think this is a bad thing for Garrett Wilson at all. I think, you have some fans who are like, Garrett Wilson's not going to get any targets now. It's all going to go to Davante. I don't think that's the case. I think they split targets, which is fine. There might be a little bit more lean on Davante Adams, which I am also okay with because I think he's the better player at this point in his career. But Garrett Wilson is by no means any slouch, and he is going to eat and be productive more often than not. And I think this helps Garrett Wilson's development long term. I mean, I don't think he's going to be upset about not getting the ball. He played in an offense at Ohio State that had Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr. in it, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Garrett Wilson. There were a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, and he was able to be productive and put up, good yardage and get drafted in the top 10. I think Garrett Wilson will absolutely still be productive. That's going to be a great wide receiver duo. You look at the duos around the league, obviously Tyreek and Jalen Waddle stand out, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. There's a lot of really good ones, but I think Garrett Wilson and Davante absolutely have to be up there. I think it's going to be really fun to watch those guys get to work together, and that's what I'm looking forward to, I think, the most this week. Jeff Ulbrich listed off all the injuries on the injury report, and it's a long list this week. Listen up, because if you black out or don't pay attention for 1 second, you might miss a name here.
All right, from an injury standpoint, Michael Carter with the back still will not participate. DJ Reed with the groin will not participate as well. Morgan Moses with the knee. Tyron, same as. Aaron Rodgers, the ankle. Conklin, the hip. No worse for the wear from last week. Will McDonald with the shoulder. Chaz has a heel that he had this past week. And Davante Adams had the hamstring.
Okay, so Michael Carter and DJ Reed are not participants. I would be surprised if either of those guys play in this upcoming game against Pittsburgh, and that's a really big loss for this Jets defense. It's going to mean a lot more Brandon Echols, Isaiah Oliver. You'll also have going to IR Chuck Clark, so that means Jalen Mills is going to have to play because I don't think Ashtyn Davis has been playable so far this year. He's looked really poor. So it's going to be a new look in the secondary. And, thankfully you still have Sauce Gardner, but DJ Reed was, arguably the Jets' best cornerback this year. I think he was playing at an elite level, and it's going to be a shame to see him miss a few weeks because of this groin. I'm assuming a few weeks. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but just based on the verbiage that was used to describe the injury, feels like it's going to take a little bit of time here. And, that's not something that you want to play around with. Those groins can be nagging over the course of a full season. So he's going to rest up and, hopefully be back for the game against New England. But I don't know if I'd count on that. And again, I know that the Steelers aren't like this high-flying offense, but I would like this team to be at their full strength. The Jets are 2-4, and I know they have good depth at that position, but let's not pretend that the depth is at the same level as a DJ Reed or a Michael Carter. So this team needs to win games, and it's not an excuse if they lose this game. I'm not going to come on the postgame and be like, oh, well, they didn't have Michael Carter and DJ Reed. That's why they lost. No, you still have to find a way. It is still next man up, but at the same time, you could also be concerned about it because, again, the Jets can't lose this game. They cannot drop to 2-5 and salvage their season. If they want any chance at salvaging this season, you have to win on Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think it starts at least with, just playing significantly better and smarter football. They can't hurt themselves with these self-inflicted wounds over and over again. So anyway, just want to come on quick and give my reaction to Jeff Ulbrich's press conference. I'm Matt O'Leary. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you next time.